Hello everyone and welcome to Mama Dragon's Miniatures. And what a video I have for you today. The one, the only, the Necrons Index is here. Well, if you don't know, I am working of course on a Necron army for 40k, especially for 10th edition. So with the new Necron Index, I thought I should give my thoughts on the Necron Index. So sit back and enjoy. I'm not sure how long this video will be, but we're going to go through everything. So first up, here we of course have the Reanimation Protocols, a very big fundamental part of the entirety of the Necrons. So if your own faction is Necrons in your command phase, so this now is in the command phase. I believe it went to the command phase for the original object for the Necrons as well. Each unit from your army with this ability activates its reanimation protocols and reanimates D3 wounds. Each time such a unit reanimates a wound, if that unit contains one or more models with fewer than their starting number of remaining wounds, select one of those models. That model regains one lost wound. So basically, in essence, like a living metal. If all models in that unit have their starting number of wounds, but that unit is not at its starting strength, one destroyed model is returned to that unit with one wound remaining. Once such a unit is at its starting strength and all of its models have their starting number of wounds, nothing further happens. So the original Reanimation Protocols, just so you know, from 9th edition, was that each time an enemy unit shoots or fights after it makes its attacks, if any model in the unit were destroyed as a result of those attacks, but that unit was not destroyed, this unit's reanimation protocols are enacted and those destroyed models begin to reassemble. So each time a unit's protocols are enacted, make a reanimation protocol roll on a number of d6 equal to the combined wounds characteristics of a recent model. Each reanimation protocol roll of 5+ is put into the pool. Reanimation protocol roll can never be modified by more than a -1 or +1. And then basically, so a lot of, in essence, so back then in the day of 9th edition, after the fight and shooting were done on a Necron, the Necrons would reanimate. But the problem is if you had like a Necron, like a Locust, or even something that had like 3 wounds, you'd have to roll that many number of dice and you'd have to hit all the 5+. Here it's a little different. Here it just seems to be in the command phase that unit is still at least standing with one model with at least one wound remaining, and gain some wound back and then slowly start gaining models back, which is, I think, is a very cool thing that what they're doing for 10th edition's reanimation protocols rather than 9th editions, which means even a model that has 3 wounds in a unit that maybe has like 2 models still remaining of those 3 wounds and 1 model's gone, you can just bring that 1 model back with 1 wound. That is pretty nice. I mean, there's no 5+s here, there's no rolling. All you do is roll for D3 wounds. But again, if you're already not at starting strength and no one needs to be healed, you just bring 1 model back with 1 wound. Just very nice. So anyways, the example they give here, a unit of Locust Destroyers, which have a wound characteristic 3, which back in 9th edition meant you had to roll 3 dice and hope that you roll all 5+s to bring it back any destroyed Locust Destroyer. Activates reanimation protocols. That unit had a starting strength of 3, but currently contains 2 models. One of those models has lost 1 wound. A 3 is rolled to see how many wounds are reanimated. The first of those reanimated wounds restores the wounded Locust Destroyer back to 3 wounds. The second of those reanimated wounds returns the destroyer to the battlefield with 1. Okay, so now I get this. So you still have to roll the D3 to see what you get, but it looks like no matter what, even if you roll D3 and you're only missing like a model, even at that roll of 3, that model just comes back with 1 wound. So the other 2 are just lost. Okay, the third of these reanimated wounds restores 1 of the remaining lost wounds, the same Locust. Oh, okay. The unit now contains 3 models, 2 of which are 3. Okay, so if you do roll a D3 and you don't have anyone wounded, you bring a guy back. That guy comes back on 1 wound, and then he's going to be able to get 2 more. If he's got like a 3 wound characteristic, then that means he gets to come back on 3 wounds. Okay, okay, that's actually pretty nice. But again, you have to spend one of your the D3 points. Basically, just think about it. You roll a D3, you could possibly get the 3 points. That 3 points can be used to heal models back to full. Must be first used to heal models in the unit currently back to full. Then you can restore a guy use 1 to restore a guy to 1 wound, and then anything else you can use again to help return wounds to that destroyed guy. The reanimation protocols are very, very nice for Necrons in 10th edition. This just makes Necrons way, way worse. Now, it makes your opponent want to shoot these Necrons off the board much quicker because, again, before after shooting and fighting, they reanimate. So now it turns more into your opponent having a target to completely destroy a Necron unit. Otherwise, at the command phase, they just regain wounds or they start regenerating models. And this happens it only happens at the end of your command phase, but still, very, very nice. I do like this ability on the D3 to bring things back better than like roll 3 dice and hope that you hit a bunch of 5+ to bring a guy back. So very nice. So anyways, we have, of course, this is our detachment rule, the one attachment rule that we get. If you don't know, 10th edition removed like all the sub-factions except like Space Marines who get their sub-factions because they're all important, but there's no dynasties anymore for Necrons. They're all just Necrons. So anyways, the attachment rule, if your army factions Necron, you can use the Awakened Dynasty attachment rule. While a Necron character model is leading this unit, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Very, very nice. So you just get a +1 on attacks as long as a leader is leading your Necrons. Again, you have to run this detachment, which is what you'll do. I think there's probably going to be future detachments when we get the codex, which makes me a little sad. We're getting all these free indexes when this is the way it actually should be. We should get free indexes, not have to, have to go buy a codex. But anyways, let's talk the stratagems. There aren't that many. So there are the generic stratagems that everyone gets through the game that are in the core rulebook, but these are exclusive to our Necrons. If you're using the Awakened Dynasty attachment rule, you can use these Awakened Dynasty stratagems. So you have to be using that specific detachment to get these specific stratagems. Again, you get the generic stratagems no matter what army you're playing, like the reroll, like the spend 1 command point reroll, which I do find command points really fun that everyone gets. You get only 1 at the start of each command phase, which is really nice. So there's not like building lists for command points. If you don't know, there's actually no like major list building. You only need like an HQ, and then everything else can just be built around that HQ choice, which is very nice. We have Protocol Eternal Guardian, any phase. So that's really nice. So it doesn't say our phase. It just says any phase. Target 1 Necron infantry character model from your army that was just destroyed. Set your model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and more than 1 inch away from all enemy models, with half of its starting number of wounds remaining. Each model can only be targeted with this stratagem once per battle. So, one time per the entirety of the game, you can just bring an infantry character back to life. I like that, especially like if you add them to a specific unit to use this specific the Awakening Dynasty detachment, and you get that +1, but somehow they get sniped out of the area or the entire unit dies and they die. Well, now you can just set them back up, which is pretty cool, especially if they have other abilities to use. So we have Protocol of the Hungry Void, fight phase, 1 Necron's unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase until the end of the phase. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in your unit. In addition, if a Necron's character is leading your unit until the end of your phase, improve the armor penetration or the AP characteristic of melee weapons equipped by your models in your unit by 1. Okay, I like that. It's basically saying, but again, it's stipulation that it's in the fight phase, no matter if it's your opponent or your fight phase. I think 40k is going more into like they want this to be more of like more interaction between the players. So that's kind of why they're not like limiting it to your phase or anything like that. Even command phase stuff, some command phase stuff can even happen in your opponent's command phase as well. So yeah, it's very interesting. So a nice way. I'm not sure exactly how much Necron fighting there is. I know like some of the characters have like weapons and stuff like that, but this is nice for some of the close combat Necron units. Not bad, especially if you have a character like a Skorpek lore leading Skorpek destroyers. That would be that's actually a really cool thing you could probably do there to give another AP to your Skorpek destroyers. But anyways, we have Protocol of the Conquering Tyrant, your shooting phase. So this one is restricted to your shooting phase. so the shooting phase the Necrons have. One Necron unit from your army has not been selected to shoot this phase until the end of this turn. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit within half of the firing weapon's range, you can re-roll the wound roll. Okay, that's actually pretty nice. If a Necron's character is leading your unit into the end of the phase, this effect applies at the firing weapon's full range instead. Okay, so in essence, this just allows you to re-roll wounds if you're within half distance of your gun's firing, or if you have a Necron character, it just doesn't matter. You can just fire at your full range and get re-roll wounds. Okay, that's pretty nice. A great way to fish for devastating hit. Just a great way to fish for some stuff. Really, really good. Really like that. I have to see how it works. Again, more stratagems. We have Protocol of the Undying Legions. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks. So this goes into the original way Necrons would use the Reanimation Protocol. When one Necron unit from your army that have one or more of its models destroyed as a result of the taking units attacks. So this again happens in your opponent's shooting or fight phase. Your unit activates its Reanimation Protocol and reanimates D3 wounds. When doing so, if a Necron's character is leading your unit reanimates with D3 plus 1 wounds. So it's basically the Necron Reanimation Protocols we see for our command phase, but we can do it outside that when the shooting or fight phase. Basically, in essence, you want to bring Necrons back, say, before you know your opponent's going to knock them out, so you want to be able to use the stratagem so that you can bring some models back so your opponent doesn't immediately wipe them out before your command phase. We have Protocol of the Vengeful Star. When your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks. One Necron's unit from your army that have one or more of its models destroyed as a result of the attacking unit's attacks. Okay, your unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but it must target the enemy unit that just attacked it, and can only do so if the enemy unit is an eligible target. In addition, if the Necron's character is leading your unit until the end phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have the Ignores Cover ability. So I really like this. This is basically if you know for a fact that Necron unit is going to be removed from the battlefield and you still want to attack with it, this is a great way just to plink off some wounds off your opponent before that model maybe makes a charge move or tries to get in or anything like that. This is actually pretty neat thing, especially because it ignores cover as well. So really neat stratagem. Protocol of the Sudden Storm. Your movement phase, one Necron unit from your army until the end of your turn. Ranged weapons equipped by this model. In your unit have Assault ability. I believe you'll have to correct me in the comment, but I believe Assault means you can charge with the weapon and still shoot with it, which is very nice. In addition, if a Necron character is leading your unit, until the end of your phase, you can re-roll advance rolls made for that unit. That's pretty nice too. So basically, if you advance, Assault allows you to still shoot your weapons while advancing. So it's very nice. A good way just to get some models quickly up the board and then still shoot with those models. So anyways, we have enhancements we can give to our models here. Again, as long as we're taking the Awakened Dynasty detachment, which we will be doing at all times. Necron model only once per battle at the end of your opponent's turn. If the bearer's unit is not within engagement range of an enemy unit, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, remove that unit from the battlefield. Then in the reinforcement step of your movement phase, set up that unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away horizontally away from all enemies, which is very interesting. So this is just a quick way to, if you know your opponent, you need to screen out some models, you need to take an objective, or you need to just snipe something off the objective. Or you want to protect a specific set of models. Great way to do so. You have Sovereign and Chronomancer. It's an aura. Necron models only. While a friendly Necron's unit within 6 inches of the bearer, that unit consists of being led by Necron character model. That unit consists of being led by Necron character model. Designer's notes. This means that units within a range of this aura ability will benefit from command protocol ability and will count as containing a character for the purposes of the Awakened Dynasty stratagems. All right. Pretty cool. Just basically allowing us to always be within the command protocol ability and for our stratagems as well. Which means, of course, because all the stratagems say if you have a Necron character in them, you get an extra buff to that stratagem, which means now, even though your Necron unit might not be having a character in it, now they count themselves as having a character, which I think is really cool. Hypermaterial Ablator. Necron model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, models in that unit have the stealth ability. Okay. Addition, each time a ranged. I think stealth means that I think your opponent can't shoot it must be within 12 inches to shoot the model. In addition, each time a ranged attack that targets the bearer's unit, if the attacker is not within 12 inches of the model in that unit have benefits of cover. So basically, we get stealth, and if we're not within, and we do happen to be shot not within 12 inches, we do also benefit from cover. And then we have Sympternal Weave. Necron models only. The bearer has a feel no pain 4+ ability. Very, very nice. These enhancements are really cool. The Veil of Darkness I can see being very useful, as well as the Sovereign Kernel. I'm not so sure. The other two, they all have their place in there. So anyways, now that is everything there. I really do like I said, I really love the new Reanimation Protocol that we're given. I think the command protocols, which is very nice, which is what this dynasty gives. The +1 hit roll is very nice. And the stratagems are very good as well as this enhancement, especially the Sovereign Coronal Aura, which basically just makes all your Necron units think they're being led by a Necron character, which is very nice. So let's get through the Necron data sheets themselves. We have Imatok, the Stormlord. Looks pretty nice. Give me a minute. So I have the old codex in front of me. He lost some movement. He gained his strength. He's still a weapon skill of 5. He still has a saving throw of 2. He only has an OC of 1. OC and his leadership did go down as a 6+ this time. But again, leadership only matters now for your battle shocks. But anyways, OC, if you don't know, that's how you control command points. So anyway, he has his Gauntlet of Fire, ignores cover, and has a Torrent ability, which is very nice, which all Flamer weapons have now. He's got his Staff of Destroyer. He's got Staff of Destroyer does have Devastating Wounds, which I believe is a 6+ does a mortal wound. I believe if it's in the shooting, in the when you're making your attack roll. If you get a 6, it's I believe a mortal wound immediately. He's got the core. He's a leader. He's got reanimation protocols, which is nice. So he also has a Grand Strategist. At the start of your command phase, if this model is on the battlefield, you just gain 1 extra command point, which is very nice. Lore of the Storm once per battle at the end of your command phase. This model can use this ability. If it does, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 12 inches of this model. On a 2 to 5, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 6, that enemy suffers d3 + 3 mortal wounds. I think that's pretty neat. He does have an invulnerable save of 4+, so if his armor save just happens to be exceeded, then you can just save him on a 4+. He doesn't get any war gear options. Unit composition, he can only have 1. This model is equipped with, of course, that. Of course, he gets a Gauntlet of Fire and a Staff of the Destroyer, which is common. He's a character. Most characters don't have anything really fancy. And then all leaders or all HQ choices now can be attached to models, which is what you're going to have to actually do, unless they have the keyword that allows them to run around their own. So he can go to Immortals, Lichguard, or Necron Warriors. I would say he probably wants to attach to Lichguard if I had to take a guess, because it sounds like more or less you just want to get him into battle. But he has a torn weapon, so it means you want to get him close, and he has a pretty good AP -3 2 damage weapon. So yeah, that's also he's attack, so that's what he can also throw. And then, of course, his melee, he does have 4 attacks, weapon skill 2+, strength 6, -3 AP, 2 damage. So yeah, I could see attaching him to some Lichguard and running the Lichguard up with him, and then using the Lichguard's abilities. We'll probably see later, still the bodyguard abilities and all that. So next up, we have Oricon the Diviner. Let's see, he's got Master Chronomancer. While this model is leading a unit, While this model is leading a unit, that model and that unit's having 4+ invulnerable save, which is really nice. So basically, just gives you a 4+ all around for whatever models he's leading, which is very, very nice. The stars are right once per battle. At the start of the fight phase, this model can use his ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, triple the attacks and strength characteristics of this model's Staff of Tomorrow, and every successful wound roll made for this model's attack scores a critical. No, devastating wounds give you an extra or auto wound. Devastating wound or auto wound. Criticals are the mortal wounds. If I'm remembering that right, please put that in the comments below. But I think I'm remembering devastating wounds means that if you get a hit, if you roll your dice and you get a hit of a 6, it automatically becomes a hit. So it automatically wounds. I think critical is the mortal wound one. Let me know if that is backwards down in the comments. So anyways, he's equipped with the Staff of Tomorrow. He doesn't get any other war gear, which they removed a lot of war gear. I think they're just making the game really simplistic. So again, he can be mortals, Lich Guard, Necron Warriors. I would say the Necron Warriors is probably maybe where you want to go, just because you can give all your warriors a 4+ invulnerable save. Except he doesn't have a melee. He only has a melee wound, which isn't great. You might want to touch some Lich Guard to get the melee weapon going, or some Immortals. But Lich Guard probably are nice, but I think the Lich Guard probably have some kind of like invulnerable save. He does have a 4+ as well. You can attach this model to one of the above units, even if one Royal Warden or Noble model has been attached to it. If you do, and that bodyguard unit is destroyed, the leader units attached to it become separate units with their original starting strengths. Okay, so basically saying that if the bodyguard unit, whatever this Royal Warden, Noble, and him are attached to, they just split apart. They're not together anymore. The Royal Warden and Noble are split away from him. We have NKR, the Traveler. Again, the same thing. He's a leader. We do have Tachyon Arrow. It's one shot, which means it's one shot for the entire game. The bear can only shoot this weapon once. But I mean, it is D6 plus 2, so it's strength 16, so it can go into a tank. He's got the Lord of the Pharaon Eternals. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the wound roll. Okay, that's right. That's very nice. Mind in the machine. I think also this epic hero means that you think you can't take more than a few epic heroes. Let me know that in the comments what epic hero means. Again, I haven't looked everything over yet because I think a lot of this stuff is explained in the core rulebook. And funny enough, I just haven't had some time to actually read through the core rules. Mind in the machine. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy vehicle unit within 12 inches of and visible to the model, so you have to have line of sight of it. That unit must take a leadership test. So again, it's just a battle shock test, so whatever the tank is. Now tanks themselves have battle shock. If that test is passed until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit rolls. If the test is failed, that unit is not eligible to shoot this phase. Okay, that's actually a pretty nice ability to get right at him up close to all your opponent's machines, and just have him sit there and just start messing with the machines. He's messing with the machine spirits. He's also epic hero. Again, he just comes with the one use Tachyon Arrow and his war scythe, and he can only be attached to mortals. So not much there. You have Vanguard Oberon. He's the leader, Reanimation Pro, Ghost Walk Mantle. While this unit is leading a unit, models in that unit have the fights first ability. So what the fights first, if you don't know, it's basically when a unit charges, it gets fights first. So basically, it fights before any other model does. But if your opponent has fight first as well, your opponent gets the fight first before you get the fight first. So even though you charge that unit and you get fights first, if your opponent's model has fight first, they get to hit you first. Anyways, his weapon is devastating wounds and precision, which means it actually can go after the character's leading units, which is very nice. The Vanguard's duty. Well, this model is in the same unit as Emazor, Zander Rock character models in that unit have a feel no pain of 4+. Okay, so he basically just hands out a 4+ to the character models. So pretty nice. And he is a character as well. It's right down here, the keywords. So, and he is an epic hero as well. This model can be attached to the following units: Immortals, Lich Guard, Necrons. This model can be attached to a unit even if Nemesaur Zander Rock has already been attached to it. If it is, and that bodyguard unit is destroyed, the leader unit attached to it becomes separate units with their original starting strengths. So basically, they just split apart from each other. But yeah, you want to attach this guy to Nemesaur, because canonically that's what he's supposed to do. Nemesaur's gone kind of like crazy from reawakening, and this guy just protects him. But you want to be doing this so that way you can give him, as well as probably Nemesaur, their 4+ invulnerable saves. We have, of course, Luminar Sozaris. He already comes with a Feel No Pain. He gets extra attacks on his impaling legs, which is pretty nice there. Luminar, he's a Luminor. While this model is within 3 inches of one or more other friendly Necron units, this model has the lone operative ability. So basically, he can't be shot unless you're within 12 inches of him. Basically meaning that you can't target him with a long-range gun and shoot him unless the gun ignores this. So if the gun does ignore it, he's safe to just run around wherever he wants to go as long as he's within 3 inches of another friendly Necron unit. So mechanical augmentation aura, while friendly Necron's battle line, which is probably going to be your warriors, your immortals. Yeah, your immortals are probably all going to be your battle line, the old troops of the era. Which in the original codex, the only real troops that Necrons could take was Necron warriors and Necron immortals. Each time units within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Very nice. And each time an attack targets that unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of the attack by 1. So it's very nice. So what I'm seeing here is a lot of modulation of AP, meaning that this AP could even tear through tanks. If you can get it up high enough to go through a tank's AP armor, then you could penetrate a tank's armor and still do damage, which I think is very, very nice. It sounds like Necrons can now just shoot tanks out of existence, which is because this edition really is going on about tanks. They really like armor, this edition. Atomic Energy Manipulator, and not mentioning that an AP 1 weapon now becomes an AP 0 weapon, by the way, too. So it means that the weapon doesn't even do any armor penetration thanks to him. But also you can turn like AP 2 weapons into AP 1 weapons. So it's very nice. You're just basically being able to modulate everything. I really think I'm going to have to pick up this model just because these are some pretty good rules. Atomic Energy Manipulator, at the end of the fight phase, if this model destroyed one or more models this phase until the end of the battle, add 3 inches to the range of mechanical augmentation ability. Okay, so as long as he kills someone, as long as a model is destroyed by him, he can make his aura 9 inches. Okay, that's pretty nice. So you can just stick a lot of stuff around him. No extra war gear, which makes sense. He's an epic hero. He can't, so that's why he's got the lone operative. He can't attach to anyone. But he gives himself lone operative as long as he's next to a Necron. But it's very nice. He can't attach to anyone, as you can see here, so he's on his own, running around. Anyways, we have Nemesaur Zander Rock. He's got a Staff of Light and a Staff of Light. Alright, he has the Transcendent Madness. Like I said, he's been going mad ever since he reawoke from his millennia of slumber. While this model is leading a unit at the start of your command phase, roll 1d6 until the start of your next command phase. Weapons equipped by models in that unit gains the ability below that corresponds with the roll. A 1 to 2, you get sustained hits 1. I can't remember what that means. I know lethal hits. I can't remember what all these. I think lethal hits is 6 pluses. Man, I'm gonna have to look up what devastating. Please let me know what devastating wounds, critical hits, and all this stuff means. But either way, sustained hits 1 is very nice. Devastating wounds is really good, and the lethal hits are pretty nice as well. So basically, whatever you roll on the d6, and I'm not mentioning it's the start of the command phase. So you basically could give Necron warriors, if they didn't say have devastating wounds, try to fish a 5 to 6 out of this and get devastating wounds or even lethal hits, which would be very nice. Counter tactics. Once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, if this model is on the battlefield, it can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the battle, the CP cost your opponent must pay to use that stratagem again is increased by 1. So there's no errata right now for this. So this could easily be like your opponent's going to re-roll for like a hit roll, use the command point re-roll ability. So you could even, if there's no QA that states that it has to be like specific stratagems to the army, not just to generic stratagems, if it goes to any stratagem, that's pretty amazing to say, well, you just rolled, now it's only once per battle, so you'd have to think about it, what you wanted to like remove, like if you wanted to make your opponent command re-roll 1 more expensive. But if you know for a fact they like a specific stratagem, see you could do this and say, well, now that stratagem is going to cost you 1 more CP to use, which I think is very nice. So anyways, he does have a 4+ invulnerable save as well. Again, you can attach to Immortals, Lich-Guard, and Necron Warriors. I wonder if Lich-Guard are going to become battle line. We got a good friend, Tazaron the Infinite. This guy is not liked by the Necrons in any way, if you don't know his lore. So if you don't know his lore is that he likes to be a collector. He likes to collect stuff. He's also not very loved by the Necrons because he likes to collect things from other Necron dynasties and put them in his big vault. I know he has like one of the generals from 𝐃𝐑. He's got a lot of things, but yeah, his whole thing is he likes to collect. And he's not loved by the Necrons, not even his own dynasty. He has sustained hits D3 for his melee weapon. Again, no shooting, just the melees. He's got Ancient Collector. While this model is leading a unit at the end of your command phase, if that unit is within range of an objective marker you control, it remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it until your opponent controls it at the start of your start or end of any turn. So basically, he just gives you sticky objectives. So basically, it means that you don't have to sit on an objective. You can say, I took that objective now. Now my models are going to go run up the battlefield, do something else while I just keep this sticky objective, which is very nice. We have Surrogate Host. At the end of your command phase, if this model is on the battlefield, you can select one other friendly Necron's infantry character, so it can't be a named character, model on the battlefield, excluding 𝐒𝐓𝐀 Lord or Epic Hero model, so basically everyone except the 𝐒𝐓𝐀 Lord or an Epic Hero. The selected model is destroyed, ignoring any rules that are triggered when the model is destroyed and the model is put in its place with all its wounds remaining. And this model, a selected model was leading a unit. This model is now attached to that unit's leader. So you don't know, he also makes copies of himself and sends those out. So there's not really a good way to like kill the real one. So that's basically what he's just saying is like he takes another guy's body. So he doesn't really die, which I think is really cool. So if he's on like wound, he's dying, or his unit's been killed off, you can basically just kill off someone that isn't a 𝐒𝐓𝐀 Lord or Epic Hero and put him there and allow him to go crazy with it, which I think is pretty cool. Anyways, he can attach to the same thing we've seen in Immortals, Lich-Guard, and Necron Warriors. We got a Royal Warden. He, of course, has a Relic Gauss Blaster, which has lethal hits and rapid fire too, which means if you are half distance, it means I think it's going to roll 2 shots here, which is very, very nice. If I still remember how rapid fire weapons work. Okay, adaptive strategy. While this model's leading unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit that have the heavy ranged weapons equipped by models in the unit have the so they have the heavy and the assault abilities. Heavy means if you stand still, I think you get rerolls, and again, assault means if you charge, you still get to if you decide to advance, you still get to shoot your weapons. He also has a close combat weapon as well. In the Gramic logic, once per battle at the start of any phase, you can select one friendly Necron's unit that is battle shocked, and within 12 inches of the model, that unit is no longer battle shocked, which I like. So it's a once per battle start of any phase. So if you know for a fact you just failed your battle shock, on a model that you need to be controlling an objective with its objective control points to get points, you can basically just purge this one battle if those points are going to matter to you at all, and then basically allow you to win, gain the points back, and win that objective. Again, a battle shocked unit cannot have stratagems used on them, and they do not have their objective control points, so they can't control objectives either. So it's very nice to see that he just kind of gives the ability to ignore that. He can only be attached to Immortals and Necron Warriors. The 𝐒𝐓𝐃 Lord, he does have a range weapon, the Annihilator. It's rapid fire too, so nice. He's got his Finzing Claw and his Hyperphase Harvester. The Hyperphase Harvester will be an AP -3/3 damage, 2+. Weapon skill 4, no, attack 4, so it's 4 attacks, which is pretty nice, but still. I mean, it's still going to do strength 10. I mean, this thing's going to cut most things down when it gets into combat. So united in destruction, while this model's leading unit, melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the lethal hits ability, which is pretty nice there. Crimson Harvest, each time this model ends a charge move, select one enemy unit with engagement range of this model and roll 1d6. On a 2 to 5, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 6, it suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Okay, so this guy just wants to get up in there and just get all the hits. Anyways, he can only lead 𝐒𝐓𝐃 Destroyers, which makes sense. He's a 𝐒𝐓𝐃 Lord. Anyways, we of course have a Locust Lord here. He's got a Staff of Light. He's got Lord's Blade, which has devastating wounds, and then he has a Staff of Light. All right, so he has Destroyer quote. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a successful range attack, a successful unmodified roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. Okay, so basically just instead of getting the 6s that you normally would need to get critical hits on a weapon, now you just need 5+, which is pretty nice. Again, he's going to be very nice for Locusts. Driven by hatred, each time this model makes an attack that targets in a unit that is below half strength, which is normally going to be below its starting half strength. So if the model's at 10, its half strength is at 5. You can re-roll, because I believe it's going to be always your starting strength, because that's what you always have to do for your Battle Shock. Doesn't matter what if you take a Battle Shock test on 5 guys, you always have to take a Battle Shock test because you've lost 5 of the 10-man unit. You can re-roll the hit roll, and you can re-roll the wound roll. The wound roll. Okay, so this is very nice. He just gives you full re-rolls if you're attacking a half-strengthed model or half-strengthed unit. So even tanks, you can just re-roll to get into those critical hits. So he has war gear abilities. A Philocrastry, the bearer has a 5+ feel no pain, which means, of course, if you do not save, he can ignore the wounds taken. That's what a feel no pain means. And he also can carry a Resurrection Orb while the bearer is leading a unit. That unit's Reanimation Protocol activates at the end of your opponent's command phase, in addition to the end of yours. So they changed the Resurrection Orb. The Resurrection Orb used to be like a one-time use thing. You would just use it and you could resurrect an entire group of models. Now it just allows you to resurrect models in your opponent's command phase too. So I could definitely see a lot of people running around Resurrection Orbs on models. I can use Resurrection Orbs so that you can just resurrect more models. That's pretty fun. Again, you can change out the war gear. The small Staff of Light can be replaced one Lord's Blade, and you can equip with the following of the 5+ Feel No Pain and Resurrection Orb. Again, you can attach it to Locust Destroyers or Locust Heavy Destroyers. We got a good old Lord here. Staff of Light, and the Lord's Blade with him. He's a leader, Reanimation, Relentless March. While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the moved characteristics of the model in that unit. So basically, they just get to move a little faster. The Lord's Will, while this model is leading a unit, you can target that unit with the stratagems, even if it is Battle Shock. So that's very nice. So basically, this is a very nice thing to just maybe put some Lords throughout your model, throughout your army, because of the fact that you can just use stratagems while you're Battle Shocked, which is very nice. And then again, he has a Resurrection Orb as well. Again, he can go to Mortals, Lich Guard, or Necron Warriors. I could see him attaching himself. The small Staff of Light can be replaced with one Lord's Blade, so it's either the Staff of Light or the Lord's Blade. Or you can just have Mortals, Lich Guard, Necron Warriors, depending on anything. We have the Catacomb Command Barge. It's still got its Gauss Cannon, Staff of Light, or a Tesla Cannon. And of course, it's got the Overlord's Blade, which is probably a different a swap out weapon you can give it. But anyways, it does have Deadly Demise 1, which means if you roll a 6+ and it blows up, it does something with that's what Deadly Demise is. Carrier Weight, it's basically the roll 6 blow up, and it does something with, I don't know what the 1 is. Maybe 1 extra inch. I wouldn't fully know. I'd have to again read all the core rules. Alright, we have Carrier Wave. Nora, while a friendly Necron unit is within 6 inches of this model, add 1 to the objective control characteristic of that models in that unit. So basically, he has 3 right now, but if he's leading an army with 3 objective control points, basically you can give them almost all 4 objective control points, which basically is really nice. Okay, Advanced Quantum Shielding. Each time an attack targets this model, if the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than this model's toughness characteristic, subtract 1 from the wound roll. All right, that's pretty nice. What is his strength? So if anything that is, his toughness is 8. So if he's being attacked by anything that is 9, 9+, you can just subtract 1 from the wound roll, which isn't too bad there. It's got a Resurrection Orb. At the end of your opponent's command phase, select 1 friendly Necron's infantry or Necron's mounted unit with 6 inches of that model. The unit's Reanimation Protocol activates. He's a little different than the other Resurrection Orbs. He gives a different ability to from the Resurrection Orb. I don't know if that's a typo or his Resurrection Orb is a little different. And he can do Necron mounted. I didn't think Necron's mounted anything. But anyways, end of your opponent's command. It just basically still triggers at the end of your opponent's command phase. It just attaches itself to mounted Necrons. So again, you can change out his Gauss Cannon for a Tesla Cannon. You can change out the Staff of Light for Overlord's Blade. And you can equip him with a Resurrection Orb. And again, he can't attach himself to any model, so he is basically... Also, by the way, he does not have the lone operative keyword, so he can be shot at any point in his existence. We have an Overlord. So he can come with a Staff of Light, a Tachyon Arrow, one-shot weapon, or you can, of course, give him probably replace the Staff of Light for Overlord's Blade, or you can replace the Staff of Light for the Void Scythe. So basically, both his melee weapons give him devastating wounds either way. Well, anyways, he has My Will Be Done. Once per battle round, one unit from your army with his ability can be targeted with stratagems for 0 CP, even if they've already targeted a different unit with that stratagem in this phase. I believe the stratagems are the main stratagems. I think in this one are you can only do them once per round. You can only trigger it once. But it looks like you can trigger, even if they've already targeted a different unit with that stratagem this phase. So if I'm remembering that right, I think you can only trigger, again, let me know down in the comments, but I think you can only trigger the stratagems that the Necrons get here that aren't the generic stratagems once. So you can only do it once the entire phase. Not that you're going to have that many command points to play with anyways. But anyways, that's very nice. You can do it for free, which is pretty cool. And it's once per battle round as well. So if the game goes 5 battle rounds, you can do this 5 times. You have impeccable resilience. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, subtract 1 from the attacker's damage characteristic. Very nice, very nice. Again, this is the damage characteristics right here. He does have Resurrection Orb as well, while this bearer is leading a unit. That unit's reanimation protocols activate the end of your opponent's. Okay, that makes sense. So the command barge's Resurrection Orb works for every Necron unit with any Necron unit within 6 inches of him. The Lord, the Locust Lord, and the Overlord, they can only trigger their Resurrection Orbs for the units they're leading. Again, you have to pay for the Resurrection Orb for the model. But I don't see a reason why you wouldn't pay for it. Anyways, we have Mortals, Lich Guards, and Necron Warriors. We have the Chronomancer, the Technomancer, not the Chronomancer. Only comes with Staff of Light. He's got Rites of Reanimation. While this model is leading a unit, models in the unit have a Field Note of Fame, Fly plus ability, which is very nice. The Technomancer, at the end of your moving phase, you can select 1 friendly Necron units within 3 inches of the bearer. That model regains up to D3 lost wounds. Each model can only be selected for this ability once per turn. So you can't do the same model multiple times. So if you have like 2 Technomancers, you can only target 1 unit with 1 Technomancer and another unit with another Technomancer. You can't do the same unit for both Technomancers, which is nice. You just get lost wounds back, which is really nice. So basically, I would say you maybe want to just run this guy up around some of your bigger, like your monoliths or your big stuff that might be trying to be shot at so that you can regain the wounds so you don't have to take battle shock tests, stuff like that. He has a Canoptic Cloak. The bearer has the Fly keyword, the Lone Operative ability, and move characteristic of 10 inches. Canoptic Control Note, or while a friendly Canoptic unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, each time a Canoptic model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Really nice. Again, he can go into Mortals, Lich Guard, Necron Warriors. Unless you want to, of course, give him his Canoptic Cloak, then he can just run around on his own. Oh, he already has the Canoptic Cloak. Okay. So you just have to connect the Canoptic Aura, the Canoptic Control Node. He already comes with the Cloak, so with the Cloak, he just can run around for free. You don't even have to attach him to the Immortals, Lich Guard, and Necron Warriors. Again, he can also attach himself to any unit that already has a Royal Warden or a Noble. We have the Psychomancer. So again, he comes with a Abyssal Lance. So he has Nightmare Shroud, which is an aura. While an enemy unit is within 9 inches of this model, subtract 1 for the leadership characteristic of the model in that unit. Okay, so this is very nice. If you could get him in close, and get a unit down to the battle shock level, you could almost force a good battle shock on them, which is pretty nice. Because again, battle shock means they can't be affected by stratagems, and they don't have their OC points attached to them, which means that you could basically get them up in there and then stop your opponent from claiming points off objectives or stuff like that. Harbinger of Despair. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit. That unit must take a battle shock test. Okay. Which means also if you're within 9 inches of the unit you target that's within the 18 inches, means that it also takes a -1 to its characteristics. Oh, that's pretty fun. No extra war gear options. I would say probably attaching the Lich Guard isn't that bad to get the Lich Guard up there, so that way he can start, handing out that aura to start minusing 1 to battle shocks. I could definitely see that. We got the Chronomancer. He comes with an Aeon Stave. The Aeon Stave has Blast. The Blast actually changed now. So now instead of modulating how many actually hits you get on a unit if they're past so much, Blast actually just gives you another couple of dice to roll. That's really it. So you get like a D6 plus something. That's all that Blast does now. So it's back to being random if you get anything. What you get, so you can't, like before, if you had like D3 and you blasted a large unit, you'd automatically get your 3 points or your 6 or whatever your max. Now they're just saying, yeah, you still have to roll the D6, but we'll give you a plus. We'll give you a few dice on the side, depending on what the size of the unit you're targeting. He has Time Splitter Mantle. Oh, I forgot to say, doesn't have a 4+ save. Doesn't have a 4+ save. Again, that's why our good bodyguard guy giving characters 4+ saves that don't have 4+ invulnerable saves are pretty nice. So our good friend here has a 4+ invulnerable save. Time Splinter Mantle. While this unit is leading a unit, while this model is leading a unit, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So basically giving all your opponent a -1 for hit rolls. And then Chronometron. In your shooting phase, after this model's unit has shot, if it's not within engagement range of an enemy unit, that unit can make a normal move up to 5 inches as if it were a movement phase. If it does, to the end of the turn, the unit is not eligible to declare a charge. So basically, you would put it into a unit that doesn't care about charging, because then you can move it up like 5 inches. So you roll a charge, you're getting assault weapons. You need to get in closer to a objective, and then you can just add this guy there and then move that 5 extra inches, forgo your charge, and maybe get that objective or get what you need to score points. I like that. Just a nice way to move around the board. Again, Lich Guard Immortal, Necron Warriors. I would say Necron Warriors Immortals is where you want to put them, because I doubt you ever want to be charging with Necron Warriors or Necron Immortals anytime soon. We have the Plasmamancer. He does not have a 4+ invulnerable save. He comes, of course, with his Plasmic Lance. Not too bad. It's not actually too bad. It's a 4+ ballistic skill, not great, strength 7, but it is AP -3. Well, it's not too bad, 2 damage. Harbinger of Destruction. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a range attack, a successful unmodified roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. Again, he just kind of ignores the 6+ critical hit requirement if your models have the critical hit keyword. Unless he just gives that, it must just give it. So yeah, even if you're so if your weapons never do critical hits, he just gives it to you, I suppose. If rules that is how I'm reading written. Living Lightning. In the shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 18 inches of and visible to this model. Roll 1d6 for each model in that unit. For each 6, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Actually, not too bad. So basically, if you just wanted to try to blast someone, if you don't know, I think this is a psychic power. So if you don't know, this would be kind of like a pseudo psychic power, because Necrons they do have psychers, it's their Cthons, but now there's no psychic phase, like smite and all that, now been rolled into like psychic attacks. So basically like psychic shooting skills. Anyways, you can go to Mortals, Lich Guard, and Necron Warriors. But anyways, now we have the battle line. Yes, these should be battle line. Yes, battle line right there. With Necron Warriors, again, you can either equip them with the Gauss Flare, which is lethal hits and rapid fire 1, which means if you get within 12 inches, you get rapid fire 1, and then Gauss Reapers just have lethal hits, and they all come with a combat weapon. It's absolutely worthless, as you can see. It's a 4+ strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. Again, Necron Warriors ain't gonna be charging into much. But anyways, we have Reanimation Protocols. Their number is Legion. Each time this unit's Reanimation Protocols activate, it reanimates D6 wounds instead of D3 wounds, unless it is within range of an objective marker and control. In that case, it reanimates D3 plus 3. So, in essence, you get D6 if you're away from objective marker. If you're within an objective marker, you get D3 plus 3. And objective markers have changed as well, just a little side tangent. You actually can't step on them, cover them up. Now they're just like actual objects. Like people have said just now, put like stuff on top of your objective markers and actually make them like important now. Because models can't end on them, can't touch them or obstruct them or any way, which is actually really cool change for 40k. Anyways, really nice. Basically, this is in a pseudo way of getting you a 6, because all you need is a 5 or a 6 on a D6 to count as the 3. So then you had 3 plus 3, which would be 6 wounds instead of the D6. But in essence, you're always getting back at least 4 wounds every time you're at least next to an objective marker for your reanimation. Again, you can change that to Gauss Flare for a Gauss Reaper. The good old Immortals. They have their Gauss Blaster, which is lethal hits. And you had the Tesla Carbine, which is Assault, which means if they charge, they can still shoot and sustain hits too. Again, they have a close combat weapon. At least they're a little better at hitting. Implacable Eradication. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, re-roll a room roll of 1. If the target of that attack is the enemy within range and objective mark, you can re-roll the rune roll instead. So you get to either choose to re-roll a rune roll of 1, so basically your 1s, or if you just happen to be shooting someone at half range, within range of an objective marker, you could just get re-roll all your wounds, which is pretty nice. So basically, if you know for a fact you can get these guys close enough, you can just go shoot your opponent off an objective, which I think is pretty cool. As long as it's it's AP -1. You're definitely not shooting a tank off an objective, but you might be shooting at least some dudes off an objective. And again, you can change out the Gauss Blaster for the Tesla Carbine. Tesla Carbine is definitely not going to be shooting no tanks off the battlefield. Doesn't have an AP. 5 to 10 models per Immortal squad. I forgot to say Necrons are 10 to 20 Necron Warriors per squad. Per unit. 5 to 10 mortals per unit. Now, the Canoptic Reanimator. When this first came out, it was a big joke, because no one took it. But anyway, we have the Atomizer Beam. Not too bad. It's 4+, strength 6, -2 AP. So it means it can go through some armor, and it can attack with its claws. And then it has a Nano Scarab Reanimation Beam. Aura. While a friendly Necron unit within 12 inches of the model, each time that unit's reanimation protocols activate, that unit reanimates an additional D3 wound. So basically, you just roll 2 D3 and reanimate, which is very nice. So I could definitely see people starting to take this basically to, if you have resurrection orbs on it and just have these guys running around now, yeah, that's pretty fun. Just have this always around Necron your battle line so that you can constantly just continually resurrect models. It comes with 2 Atomizer Beams and its claws. We have our one and only man himself, the Hex Mark Destroyer. You have the Hypnotic Disintegrator Pistols, which is basically pistols with precision. Those are precision pistols. Again, precision means you can target characters inside with the units they're leading. He does have Deep Strike, which means he can go in reserve and come in after battle round 2 and onwards. And he does have the Lone Operative, meaning that he can run around on his own. Run around, and as long as he's within so many inches of any Necron unit, you can't shoot at him unless you're 12 inches or less away from him. Inclassible Death. Once per turn, 1 unit from your army with this ability can be targeted with Fire Overwatch Stratagem for 0 CP. So yes, the Overwatch Stratagem now happens any phase, which is pretty cool. Instead of just, it's a one-time use thing. It's 1 command point, so you can only do, all the stratagems I think are also hard as well. The generics as well are also hard, that you can only do them once. So you can only fire Overwatch once. But firing Overwatch for free is not too bad. Even if you've already used that stratagem on so he gives this a second Overwatch for free. Okay. So you still have to pay for the original Overwatch, but then you can just Overwatch for free. Okay. In addition, each time you target this unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem, while resolving that stratagem, hits are scored on unmodified hit rolls of 2. Okay. So basically, if you target him for this stratagem, he just shoots on a 2+. Okay, so I think Overwatch is still, you have to hit 6s to get Overwatch. Oh, not for him. He can just shoot Overwatch on a 2+. Okay, this guy's actually pretty good. Multi-threat eliminator. Each time and model unit targets a friendly Necron unit within 3 inches model with range attacks at that unit is shot, this model can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. Okay. So it has to be within 3 inches. So funny enough, you could probably just space your guys out and have this guy just shoot everything. Again, this doesn't say how many times he can do it. It's just each time an enemy unit targets a friendly Necron unit within 3 inches of this model with ranged attacks. So as long as they're not punching each other or knifing each other or doing something in close combat, after the enemy is shot, you basically just shoot back at it for free. Okay, that's not too bad. His weapon's only 18 inches, but it is a ballistic skill 2+ strength 6 -2 AP 1 wound each, which is not too bad. So overall, actually a pretty cool model. So you can only take one of him. The Lich Guard. They have a Hyperphase Sword and they have the War Scythe, which is basically you just, instead of taking the Hyperphase Sword, you can just take a Scythe instead. I think, don't know, can they take the Sword and Shield, or can they take a War Scythe and Shield? We'll have to see. But anyways, the War Scythe's a little better. It's devastating wounds at a -3 AP, strength 8, 2 damage. But if it's going to be true, you can only take the shields with the sword. So sword and board. Guardian Protocols, by a noble model is leading this unit. Each time an attack targeting these units, subtract 1 for the wound roll. Again, like I said, why it's pretty nice. And again, like I said, their dispersion shields are already 4+ in vulnerable save. So marching up all your characters that are good at close combat, with Lich Guard, are actually a pretty good idea. And again, getting close with all those really good close combat weapons and having the Lich Guard keep their 4+ in vulnerable saves. So yeah, all models you can have their War Scythe replaced with 1 Hyperphase Sword and 1 Dispersion Shield. So it's either the War Scythe or Sword and Board. And it's 5 to 10 Lich Guard per unit. The Death Marks. Again, they have Somatic Disintegrator. It is heavy, which doesn't mean much. You could still move, but you can't, if you run, you can't shoot heavy weapons. But heavy means that if you just stand still and shoot them, you get a plus to your hit. And then precision means you can target characters out of units. Hyperspace, they do have the Deep Strike keyword, so they can come in anytime they feel like it. Hyperspace Hunters, once per turn, if in the reinforcement step of your opponent's movement phase, when an enemy unit is set up on the battlefield from reserves within 18 inches of and visible to this unit. So as long as you have line of sight within 18 inches, this unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but must only target that enemy unit when doing so. You can only do this if that enemy unit is an eligible target. So again, meaning you can't just shoot at something that's not that you eligibly cannot shoot at. So it's just warning you have to be eligible to shoot at, but not a bad thing. Basically, this is a nice way to screen your opponent out around 18 inches around your death marks, so that your opponent isn't like putting like 9 inches in front of something that you want to protect. They might have to reconsider that because of the death mark, which I think is a good reason to take these guys. Just for that protection ability, just so you can just snipe some people out once per turn. 5 to 10 death marks per unit. We got ourselves some flayed ones. They come with sustained hit 1 and twin linked. I don't know why this is now this thing. Twin linked, if you don't know, just means re-roll your wound rolls. So you just get to re-roll your wounds. Yay, I guess. Flare claws, they're not great. Ballistic scale of 3. They don't do a lot of damage. They have a strength of 4. AP -1. Anyways, they're infiltrators and they do have stealth. And flesh hunger. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if the target of the attack is below half strength, a successful hit roll scores a critical hit. Which is not bad. Not bad at all. You probably just... Again, they could probably just sit on objectives if you wanted to take them. And just have them sit on objectives or infiltrate onto your opponent's side of the board, which infiltrate just means now they get to move. They get to be outside of your deployment zone. Scout's a little different. Scout means you get a scout move forehand, but still neat nonetheless. We got some Crypt Thralls. They have a scurrying eyeball, and the eyeball can really hurt you, folks. And they have side limbs. They have a Feel No Pain 4+, not bad. Bound creation. While this unit is in the same unit as a cryptic model, that cryptic model has the Feel No Pain 4+ ability as well. Okay, that's actually pretty nice. And then Systematic Vigor. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not fought this phase, roll a d6. On a 3+, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after attacking model unit has finished making its attacks, and it is then removed from play. Okay, so interesting. So what this looks like it can do is if you're following around a cryptech models that are close combat and they happen not to have the fight first keyword, or your opponent has the fight first keyword, meaning that you still get to fight those models, which is nice. Again, you have to hit a 3+ on a d6, but I mean, that is a 50% chance. That's half the dice. It's a little over half the dice. You just don't want to see 1 or 2, but really nice. Again, they can't have attacked. So if they've already attacked and fought that turn and they die, you can't use this. But again, if you charge into a unit that has the fight first keyword and you have fight first, your opponent goes first, they kill a couple of your guys, no worries. Just roll a 3+, and those guys that died still get the fight and maybe still get to do some damage. Not too bad. So anyways, it does, you can only take 2 Crypt Thralls per unit. At the start of the declared battle formation step, this unit can join one other unit from your army that is being led by a Cryptech infantry model, and unit cannot have more than 1 Crypt Thralls unit joined. So you can only have 1 set of Crypt Thralls. If it does, until the end of battle, every model in the unit counts as being part of that bodyguard unit, and that bodyguard unit's starting strength is increased accordingly. Okay, so basically if you start with, say, a unit of 10 models in its Cryptech infantry, add these 2 guys to them, they then count as 2 more bodyguards, so their starting strength now counts themselves as 12, which is pretty nice. We got the 𝐒𝐍𝐷 Destroyers. They got the 𝐒𝐍𝐷 Hyperphase weapons, which is interesting because I think the 𝐒𝐍𝐷 Destroyers could actually take like another weapon choice. Yeah, they actually had a Hyperphase Reaper Blade. They do not have the Hyperphase Reaper Blade anymore. They're just now all 𝐒𝐍𝐷 Hyperphase weapons. So basically they just meld the 2 weapons in together, because there was one known as the Hyperphase Threshers. So there's just one weapon now. One weapon that does 2 damage. So when it has Whirling Onslaught, each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, you can ignore any and all modifiers to the attack's weapon skill, characteristic, and or to that attack's hit roll. So basically they just don't care. If there's negatives on their weapons or anything like that, or negatives or modifiers to their weapons or their attacks, they just don't care. They have Plasmite once per battle for each plasma site this unit has. When this unit is selected to fight, you can use this ability. If you do, until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have devastating ability. Placing the relevant number of plasma site tokens next to the unit, removing 1 each time this unit has used the ability. Okay, so for every 3 models in this unit, you have 1 plasma site. So basically, if you take a 6-man squad of 𝐒𝐍𝐷 Destroyers, you get 2 plasma sites. All right, there is a plasma site model, by the way. So that's what they're just pointing to. I think there is a plasma site model and did come out in the Indomitus box. So nonetheless, really cool that you just get devastating wounds by just removing one of these guys. And of course, make sure to attach your 𝐒𝐍𝐷 lore to them. You got the Triox Stalker. It's got a Heat Ray Dispersed. Well, it's got basically 2 different functions for the Heat Ray. It has Heat Ray Dispersed, which ignores cover and there's a Torrent, and Heat Ray Focused 4, which is basically just a melt a gun at 4. I believe, I'm not sure what Melt of 4 is, but I'm sure I'll figure out one day when the thing drops. But yes, there is I'm looking at the old codex here. There is such a thing as called a Canoptic Plasma Site. They probably just removed the model and just made it a little marker now. It does have a particle shredder. It's got blast, devastating wounds, and then a twin heavy Gauss cannon, which is lethal hits and twin leak. And then of course you can hit someone with some four limbs. It does have Deadly Demise, D3. So, I think this is when it dies on a 6, I think the D3 and the 1 mean how many mortal wounds it does to anybody that's within range of its blowing up. So this will blow up at D3 wounds if it blows up. Again, a 6 is the only way to really blow it up. I doubt there's any stratagems right now out there that auto blow anything up. Targeting relay. In your shooting phase, each time this model is selected to shoot, after resolving its attack, select one enemy unit that was hit by one or more of those attacks. So it doesn't have to wound, it just has to hit. So again, no wound as long as you made a hit, even if your opponent saves the wounds or you completely whiff the wound roll, as long as you have hit, this goes off, which is very nice. Until the end of your phase, that unit cannot have the benefit of cover. So as long as this, so if you have someone who's in like deep cover, you just hit with any one of the weapons of this guy, all the rest of your models can shoot at it without the enemy model benefiting from cover, which is very nice. That's actually really, really good skill there. Again, probably a good reason to take a Stalker here. It has a 4+ invulnerable save. We can just check right here. This model's heat ray can be replaced with the following. You can either replace it with a particle shredder or the twin heavy Gauss cannon. You want to take one Triox Stalker per unit. All right, so here we go with one of the C'tan. The C'tan, Shard of the Deceiver. The C'tan were the star gods that tricked the Necron tier into becoming Necrons. But anyways, we have a ranged weapon. It's a Cosmic Insanity. It's anti-character +4, which means that when it's attack a character, a 4+ is what you need to achieve. I think it gives like some, if you roll a 4+, you get something out of it. It's got devastating wounds. It's got precision, and he can punch people with his fist that, whoo, AP's -3, 3 damage. Okay, he can punch a tank to death. All right, anyways, he's got Deadly Demise D6 if he blows up and deals D6. Okay, he got stealth. This guy has Reanimation Protocols. Okay, I think almost everything in this index has Reanimation Protocols. I have not been paying attention if everything has Reanimation. Oh, good. I can't wait for this C'tan shards to basically all the C'tan people now that have the ability to resurrect wounds off them. How nice. All right. So anyways, like I said, this is normally his psychic power would have been, he would have had I don't think he had shooting attacks. No, he didn't have shooting attacks. He had the ability to manifest psychic powers from the warp. No, now, again, like I said, there's no such thing as a psychic phase anymore. Now everything is rolled in as attacks. He has Grand Illusion. If your army includes this model, after both players have deployed their army, select up to 3 Necron units from your army and redeploy them. When doing so, you can set those units up in strategic reserves if you wish, regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserves. So there is a limit on how many models you can put in strategic reserves. He just says, I don't care about that. How about we just put 3 more units in strategic reserves? I really like that. I really like that ability to basically know how you and your opponent set up, and then basically say, well, I'm going to remove these 3 units off my battlefield, and I'm going to either reset them up to counter what you set up, or I'm just going to put them in reserves and keep them for a full battle round, a couple battle rounds, and then bring them in when I need them. That's actually pretty nice. Necrodermis, each time an attack is allocated to this model, have the damage characteristic of the attack. So, how nice. Melt-a-guns are now halved. So, he does have a damage characteristic of, he's got 12 wounds. So, pretty nice. He just doesn't care. And this guy can never be your warlord. He is an epic hero as well, and he can't be attached to anyone, but can never be your warlord. You got the C'tan Shard, the Nightbringer. He has Gaze of Death. It's a blast. And then you have 2 ways to use his scythe weapon. You can do for a strike, which has got devastating wounds to it, or you can just sweep. The strike is strength 14, -4, D6. Oh man, that's D6 +3. Ooh, wow, that's a 2+. Oh man. Well, I'll have to see how these points call out, but I may have to pick up some of these 2 C'tan Shard guys and play around with them. Deadly Demise, D6, Reanimation Protocols. This doesn't even have Reanimation. It just gains wounds back, I guess. Okay. Drain Life. At the end of the fight phase, roll 1d6 for every enemy unit within 6 inches of the model. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Oh, how nice. By the way, that's for every enemy unit within 6 inches of this guy. Even the people he's fighting against, because they are within 6 inches of him. Okay, so he's also got Necrodermis. I could see this guy just like, if you wanted to take like a whole bunch of like guys that are close combat heavy and just start swinging him along with them in there, and then just start dishing out all these mortal wounds on a 4+. I mean, it's a 50-50 to get it, but still not bad. Again, he can't be your Warlord. You got the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon. He has Spear of the Void Dragon, anti-vehicle 2+. Okay, he just loves to blow up vehicles with that. And the Voltamic Storm Blast, sustain hits of 2. It's a D6+3 on the attack. Nice. Spear of the Void Dragon, you can strike the anti-vehicles to just once again hate vehicles. Spear of the Void Dragon, which is very nice because this is going to be a very vehicle heavy edition, because vehicles just got so much buff in this edition. He does have Spear. He does have a sweep attack as well. The one that does anti-vehicles is really nice at D6+2. And then he actually has extra attacks as well with his Canoptic tail blades as extra attack. They're not very great, but I mean, it's weapon skill 2+ is still good. All the Catans all have a 4+ invulnerable save. Matter absorption at the start of your shooting phase. Select one enemy vehicle within 12 inches of this model and roll 1d6 on a 2+ that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, and that model regains up to that many lost wounds. Okay, so this guy is basically they're just basically telling you with a format that's going to be so heavy on the idea of vehicles, just take this guy and just hate on vehicles for days. 12 wounds, and he also has anything he takes. Again, he can't be your Warlord. Now we just have the generic Transcendent Catan, a generic shard of the Catan. It has Seismic Assault, so it's got Assault, sustained hits 1, and then Crackling Tendril, sustained hits 1. Not bad. It's a D6 close combat weapon at Strength 9. AP through -3/2. Got Daily Demise D6. He can Deep Strike as well. Transdimensional. He's actually the only one that actually doesn't have Reanimation Protocols. Yeah, like he has Reanimation Protocols, which is very interesting. So this Transcendent Catan does not have Reanimation. He cannot reanimate. Transdimensional displacement. Each time this model is selected to advance, you can remove it from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from your own models, which is very nice, especially when his psychic attack is Assault. And again, he has a Necrodermis ability. All his damage is halved, and he has a 4+ invulnerable save. Very nice. He can't be a Warlord again. He is a character. So now we're going to get some of the Canoptic units. We have the Canoptic Spiders. They have a Particle Beamer, which is Blast and Devastating Wounds. It's got some Automaton Claws. It does have Daily Demise 1, which means that if you take this in a unit, each time one of these things dies, it does blow up. How many can you take per unit? 1 to 2? All right, so basically if you just take one, it doesn't. It'll just blow up on its own. If you take them in a squad of 2, one will blow up, and you hope it doesn't blow up, because it will hurt the other one. Canoptic Swarm. In the command phase, select one friendly Canoptic Scarab Swarm unit within 6 inches of this unit. One destroyed model is returned to the Canoptic Scarab Swarm unit for each spider unit in this model. Okay, so basically, this is very nice if you wanted to bring like swarms of the Scarab, large groups of Scarabs. Just take a couple of these spiders along the way, and then you could just resurrect entire. It doesn't say what if they come back at 1 wound only or full. It looks like it should be coming back with full wounds, so that's really nice. So unlike where you reanimate it with probably maybe 1 remaining, he just brings them back at full wounds. Okay. Fabricator Claw Array Aura. While friendly Necron units, vehicle units within 6 inches of the bearer, that unit has the Feel No Pain 6+ ability. Gloom Prism Aura. While a friendly Necron's unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, models in that unit have a Feel No Pain 4+ ability against psychic attacks. So very nice. Basically, if you're going against a psychic army, this is very nice to deal with those psychic attacks. So anyways, again, you can have up to 2 AMOG can be equipped with, you have to equip. So normally it just comes with your claws. So you have to buy the particle beamers, you have to buy the fabricated claw array, and you have to buy the gloom prism. But hey, at least he comes with some claws, and he does come with the ability to bring back Canoptic Scarabs. Anyways, we have our Scarabs. You have our Canoptic Scarab Swarms as well. They have Fear Mandibles, which are lethal hits as well, which is pretty good, especially because these things hit on a 5+. So you're always just going to be fishing for the 6. That's all you're going to be doing. They do have Daily Demise 1. They do have Reanimation Protocols, Self-Destruction. At the start of the fight phase, if this unit is within engagement range of one or more enemy units, you can select one model in this unit to destroy. If you do not roll the model's daily demise ability. Instead, select one enemy unit with engagement range of the model and roll 1d6, adding 1 to the result if the unit is a vehicle. On a 2 to 5, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So basically, as long as you don't roll a 1. Well, basically, it's impossible to roll a 1 on a vehicle because you'll be adding a +1 to it. On a 6+, that unit suffers d3 plus 3 mortal wounds, which is not bad. So, in essence, if you do go against a vehicle and you roll a 5+, it'll actually be a 6+ because thanks to the +1. So you always be wounding a vehicle on. You always will be wounding a vehicle at least, because even if you roll a 1, you are, unless the rules are still going to state an unmodified roll of 1 is still a failure on everything. Because if they do that, then it won't matter. If that rule is not in place, you can roll a 1, have a +1, and makes it a 2. I strongly believe that the rules are still going to have an unmodified roll of 1 is still a failure, no matter what, if you have any +1s or anything like that. I strongly believe that's still going to be in the rules. Let me know if that is the case. If that is still in the rules. Swarm. While an enemy unit is within engagement range of this unit, subtract 1 from the objective control characteristic of models in the unit, minimum 1. So basically, they don't have any objective control. They're here to self-destruct and then become resurrected by the spider, funny enough. So basically, you could go in, self-destruct 1, bring 1 back, the self-destructed 1 with the spider, or even reanimate it, because again, they do have the reanimation protocols. They have a horrible save, by the way, of a 6+. So basically, anything that has AP +1 will kill these things. And they aren't very tough either. But it is nice. They do have a leadership of 8+, so they will battle shock pretty easily. I will say that. They will battle shock very easily. But no, if you can get these guys up in the range and they're just there to blow themselves up, basically. And it is kind of funny, they can blow themselves up, and they do have deadly demise as well. So basically, all they're here for is to just run up, take objectives, and then blow themselves up. And then -1 to control objective, -1 to the OC of characteristics of models, which isn't too bad. Basically 3 to 6 scarabs per unit. We have the Ophinian Destroyers with their Ophinian Hyperspace weapons again. I think they used to have 2 sets of weapons, but now they only have 1 set of weapons. Yes, they actually had 3 sets of weapons. They actually had Ophidian claws as well, so they got rid of their claws, which were these right here. So now they just only have Hyperphase weapons. So anyways, again, they have Deep Strike, Reanimation Protocols, Tunneling Horrors. At the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is out with engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, you can remove this unit from the battlefield. In the reinforced steps of your next movement phase, set it up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. Again, I do like this because it's able to screen out. Basically, you can move them, have them up on the board for 1 turn, move them around, and then have them tunnel that into that your opponent's turn. So if you're going to go first next turn, then be able to bring them out on your reinforcement step 9 inches away, so then you can make a charge with them, which is pretty nice. And I suppose if someone is actually, no one can actually follow these things. I just realized there is no one that can attach themselves to these guys, which is kind of sad. And then they do have plasma sights as well. Again, the plasma sights, you can remove them to gain devastating wounds. They get 1 plasma sight for every 3 models. So if you take a squad of 6, you get 2 plasma sights. Tomb Blades. So you can have a Particle Beamer, which is blast and devastating. Twin Gauss Blaster, which is lethal hits. Twin Linked, or Twin Tesla Carbines, which is assault, sustained hits 2, and Twin Linked. Pretty nice. They do have Scout 9 inches, which means they still must be set up within your deployment zone. They're not infiltrators. And then before you even get into like all the little start of the turns, you do get your Scout movement, so they get to move out of your zone 9 inches. In Reanimation, they have Envision, engrams each time an attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Not bad. You can have some war gear here. Nebuloscope, ranged weapons equipped by the bearer have the ignores cover ability. Okay, I definitely take that for like all of these. Probably especially the one that gives you devastating wounds and blast, which is not too bad. And all of them actually could be pretty well. You do have Shadow Loon the bearer has a 5+ invulnerable save, and then Shield Veins the bearer has a 3+ save characteristic. What is their save? Oh, that's a 4+. So it just gives them an extra save characteristic. So again, you can change out their weapons for the particle beamer or one twin Tesla carbine. You can have any number of the models can be equipped with 1 shield veins. And then any number of the models can be equipped with the following: a Nobuloscope or a Shadow Loom. 3 to 6 Tomb Blades per unit. We have the Triarch Praetorians. They do have Praetorian Caster, Devastating Wounds, and it is a pistol. They do have the Rod of Covenant, or you could change it probably out the Rod of Covenant for a Void Blade, if so be. They have Deep Strike, and they do have Reanimation Protocols, Relentless Combatants. You can re-roll charge rolls made for this unit, and if this unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Oh, that's pretty fun. So what you can do here is you can re-roll your charges if you came in from Deep Strike. You can also just, if you make a charge and you want to hit that unit with something, maybe like a Stalker or some of your guys that are shooty, you could just fall back, hit a bunch of it with a bunch of attacks, and then just charge back into it, which is pretty fun. Oh, that's pretty fun. Again, you can replace the all models of the unit can have their Rod of Covenant replaced with one Particle Caster and 1 Void Blade. So basically, you get the shooty attack, the other shooting weapon. You get this shooting weapon, Devastating Wounds, and a pistol, and the Void Blade, which again, pistols you can shoot in close combat as well, if so be. 5 to 10 of these guys in model. Canoptic Wraiths. The Wraiths are here. Everyone, the Wraiths are here. They have a Particle Caster of Devastating Wounds and a pistol, Transdimensional Beamer, and then they have the Vicious Claws and Whip Coils. They do have Reanimation Protocols, they do have a 4+ save, and they have Wraith Form. Each time this unit ends a normal move, you can select one enemy unit it moved over during that movement and roll a 1d6 for each model in that unit. For each 4+ that unit suffers 4+ mortal wounds. So that's really cool. So you can move over an enemy unit, basically maybe the unit what you want to charge to get in with all your melee weapons, and then just deal a couple mortal wounds, maybe deal a couple mortal wounds to it. 3 to 6 Canoptic Wraiths. Again, you need to pay for the Particle Caster and the Transdimensional Beamer, and then you must pay and you either can replace your Vicious Claws with Whip Coils. I would say the Claws are just a little better than the Whip Coils. The Whip Coils just have attack characteristic of 4 more than the Vicious Claws, but the Vicious Claw, they have a better strength, have an AP, and do 1 more damage. We have the Annihilation Barge. You can give it a Gauss Cannon, which gives lethal hits, a Tesla Cannon, which gives sustained hits 2, and the Twin Tesla Destroyer, which gives sustained hits 2 and has twin length. And you can run people over with it. How nice. It's got Day Demise 1, Reanimation, Malevolent Arcing. In the shooting phase, each time you select a target for this model's Twin Tesla Destructor. So this only works if you take the Twin Tesla Destructor. If you don't take the Twin Tesla Destructor, you do not get this upgrade, this ability. Roll 1d6 for the target unit and 1d6 for every other unit within 3 inches of the target. On a 5+, the unit being rolled for is struck by arcing energies after resolving all of this model's attacks against the target unit. Each unit struck by arcing energy suffers D3 mortal wound. On a 5+, the unit being rolled for is struck by arcing energy. After resolving all the model's attacks against that target unit, each unit struck by arcing energy suffers. Okay, so if you do hit the D6 on the unit you're shooting at, you do get to then arc the energies on it. If I'm just reading this correctly, you get this arcing energies, and then if you roll a 5+ on any other units within 3 inches, they just take the arcing energies, which they will just suffer a D3 mortal wounds. So again, 4+. It does already come with the Twin Tesla Destructor, which makes sense. So you can just replace. Oh, it does also come with a Gauss Cannon. So you can just replace the Gauss Cannon with 1 Tesla Cannon and just make it all Tesla-based weapons. You have the Doomsday Arc. So it does have the Doomsday Cannon of Blast and Heavy, which is very nice because it just can shoot halfway across the board. It does have a Gauss Flare Array with its lethal hits and rapid fire 5. Again, if you get into half range, it's very nice. It does have a Deadly Demise of D3, Overwhelming Obliteration in your movement phase. If this model remains stationary until the end of this turn, its Doomsday can has a devastating. Okay, that's really nice. So basically, just plop this guy in your back row and just leave him there forever. And then just shoot a blast, heavy, devastating wound gun. Okay. as long as your opponent leaves something to be seen for him. Otherwise, you're gonna have to move him, and then you don't get any. It still recognizes the heavy and still recognize it's a blast, but you won't be able to do the heavy ability, and you don't get devastating wounds. While this model has 1 to 5 wounds remaining each time this model makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. And again, once it has that low of wounds, once it has 7 wounds remaining as well, it'll be taking battle shock. That's why you see all vehicles do have a leadership right now, because even vehicles take battle shock. No extra war gear is just standard. We got the Locust Destroyers. They have a Gauss cannon, which is lethal hits, and you can get in there with some close combat weapons. I highly doubt you want to charge much with these guys. To me, Necrons are more a shooty army, so you want to stay out and shoot, and you only want to be charging with the units that have nice, hitting attacks. Hardwire for destruction. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, that targets the closest eligible enemy unit, reroll hit roll 1. So basically, if you roll any ones in there, reroll them. But again, it has to be the most eligible targets, the closest. So if you're targeting something that's like 2 inches, not closer, and there's a unit, say you target something, but there's a unit that is 2 inches closer to the Locust Destroyers, that is not and is eligible for you to shoot at, then you do not get the reroll 1s. You'd have to shoot at the closest eligible, which makes sense. They don't want this to be too broken. 1 to 6 for these guys. I forgot to say it's 1 Doomsday Arc. But then again, you're going to only take 1 Doomsday Arc, like I said, and just shove it in your backfield and leave it there to obliterate your opponent. We have the Locust Heavy Destroyer. It has Enhancements Exterminator, Medic Exterminator. It is heavy, rapid fire 6. So this is a heavy weapon as well as a rapid fire weapon. Sustain hits 1, and a Gauss Destructor, which is lethal hits, heavy and lethal hit. The Gauss Destroyer is just a little better on AP and strength overall. It's only 1 hit, by the way, so it's not great at swinging a lot of dice. It's 1 shot. 1 shot at Ballistic Scale 3+, but it is strength 14. It is -4 damage. It is minus AP 4. It is 6 damage. This thing will tear through tanks easy. But the other one is really nice though too. But you just only get 1 thing of AP and you won't be tearing much heavy stuff down. You have Optimized for Slaughter. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack with an Medic Exterminator against infantry unit, re-roll a wound roll of 1. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack with a Gauss Destroyer against a monster vehicle unit, re-roll a wound roll of 1. So basically, you just get to re-roll your 1s if you miss, which is nice. Either way, if you're attacking infantry with the 1 gun, you get to re-roll wound rolls of 1. Which is very nice. Re-rolling a wound roll of 1, meaning that it's very nice for you to, if you roll a 1 on this Gauss Destroyer, to immediately be able to re-roll that, so you can possibly hit. Any number of models can have their Gauss Destructor replaced with 1 Enhancements Exterminator. So it already comes with the Gauss Destroyer. You just have to give it the you'd have to change it out for the anti-infantry gun. Canoptic Doomstalker. It has a Doomsday Blaster, blast and heavy, and then it has and probably has also the twin Gauss Flare of lethal hits, rapid fire 1, and twin linked. It's got some limbs to punch with. Alright, Sentinel Construct. Each time you target this unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem, while resolving that stratagem, hits are scored on unmodified rolls of 5+, which is nice. Again, Overwatch, you still have to hit the 6+. He just now gives you the 5+, and of course our Mr. Hex Mark can do it on a 2+. Which makes you want to really take the Hex Marks just so you can Overwatch him, just so he can shoot on 2+, which is very nice. Again, if he's down to 1 to 4 wounds, you get -1 to the hit rolls. He does an invulnerable save of 4+. Again, he does come with everything. We got the Ghost Arc. He's got some Gauss Flower Array, lethal hits, rapid fire 5, and again, you can try to crush people with it. Alright, it does have Deadly Demise, D3, Reanimation Protocols, and then Repair Barge, once per phase. Just after an enemy unit finishes making its attacks, if 1 or more friendly Necron warriors, so this only works on the warriors, which we'll check if the Immortals are warriors, if they have the warriors keyword. Units within 3 inches of this model lost 1 or more wounds as a result of those attacks. This model can use this ability. If it does, select one of those Necron warrior units that unit's reanimation protocols activate. The same Necron Warriors unit cannot be selected for this ability more than once per phase. Are Immortals considered warriors? Do they have a warrior's keyword? Because if they are, that would be really good for the... no. So you can only really target these. All right, so the Doom... The arc really only targets the warriors, which isn't too bad. If you have like big blobs of warriors and you want those big blobs of warriors to stay alive, it's actually not a bad thing to take like this thing with them. Not mentioning that it's also a transport as well. But overall, pretty nice thing. It just allows you to have keep your big blob of Necron warriors alive. Again, Necron warriors can come to 10 to 20 units of 10 to 20. Again, it comes with everything. This model can transport also 10 Necron warriors and 1 Necron's infantry character as well. We have the Doom Scythe. It has the heavy death ray, which is stain hits D3. So it's a randomized D3, but this is a strength 16 weapon. It's minus 4 AP and D6 plus 1 damage. Or you probably switch it out for the twin Tesla Destructor, which is stained hits, twin linked. I'd probably stay with that heavy death ray just because that sounds a little better. All right, it does have Deadly Demise, Reanimation Protocols. This is also a flyer as well, and flyers I think also lost the -1 to hit, which is pretty interesting. So now flyers are just like capable of being hit just like normal soldiers. They don't get like a -1 to hit for a non like things that are supposed to shoot down flyer. Atavistic integration. Each time this model targets an enemy infantry unit with its heavy death ray, your opponent must declare that unit will stand firm or duck for cover. Okay. If it stands firm, resolve an attack against that unit with that weapon this phase. A successful unmodified hit roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. All right, very interesting. If it ducks for cover until the start of your next shooting phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Okay, so basically it's forcing your opponent to either hope you can't fish for 5+. You don't get a bunch of 5+ for critical hits, or they can duck, recover, and just basically take the sustained hits from it. And but they do get a -1 to hit. And again, once it hits 1 to 4 wounds, -1 to the hit rolls for it. It's equipped actually with everything: the twin Tesla Destructor and the our good gun. All right, now we have the Night Scythe, which only has the twin Tesla Destructor, which is again the stain hits 2. And again, you can run people over with a flyer. I'm not exactly sure why you'd charge a flyer into soldiers, but all right. Translocation Beam. At the end of the fight phase, if there are no models currently embarked within this transport. Oh, right, this is also a transport. The Night Scythe's a transport. The Doom Scythe's just a big flying gun. You can select one friendly Necron's infantry unit wholly within 6 inches of this transport. Unless that unit is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can embark within this transport and just fly all over the place. All right, pretty nice. Again, this model has a transport capacity of 1 Necron's infantry unit. So you can only take infantry. That's it. And no characters as well. Now we have the Obelisk. So this one's a little interesting. I know the Obelisk, and we're getting down to a few of the super heavies, weren't really great at all. Like, they were like pretty pitiful. Like the Obelisk and Tesseract Vault are like miserable. No one really took them like at all. But people take the Monolith. Again, thanks to the way we can build now, because these were once super heavies, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You want 3 Obelisk Vaults? Go right ahead, take 3 Obelisk Vaults. I don't know what else you're going to stick into these because the point values are out now and I have yet to see what the point values are for these. But hey, if you wanted to take 3 of these or 3 Monoliths or 5 Monoliths, go right ahead. I don't know what else you're sticking in there with 5 Monoliths, but if Monoliths are good, 1 Night Scythe, by the way. Anyways, they have Tesla Sphere. It's an anti-fly 4+, so basically it's very good against flyers. Stain hits 2. You can try to run people over with it. It's got a Gravitic Pulse. At the start of your opponent's movement phase, you can select 1 enemy unit within 18 inches. Basically 18 inches in line of sight to this model until the end of the phase. Subtract 2 from the movement characteristics of the models in the unit, and subtract 2 from the charge, advance, and charge rolls made for that unit. All right. In addition, if that unit can fly into the start of your next movement phase, roll 1d6 for each time that unit ends any type of move. On a 4+, they just suffer D3 mortal wounds. There is something in 30k that's very similar. Flying units, if they flew around and landed, I think they have to roll a dice. Otherwise, they just die instantly. Like somehow they landed and they just didn't land right, so they instantly die. But that's actually pretty funny. So if you have like the Raven Guards flying, like Vanguard or Space Marines on jump packs, or other little flyers all over the place, if they just hit a D4 plus and a D6, they just suffer D3 mortal wounds for just basically having the fly keyword. All right, but anyways, when this has 8 wounds remaining, subtract 4 from its ejected control characteristic, and each time this model makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Ooh, it's actually a control of 8. Nothing special here. It's got 4 Tesla spheres though. That's fun. So this thing shoots a whole lot, because this is just for 1 Tesla sphere. That's all it tells you right here is just 1 Tesla, what the aspect of 1 Tesla sphere is. So yeah, that's fun when this thing has 4 of them attached to it. Okay. So anyways, we have the Tesseract Vault, the opened obelisk. Basically, when you buy the model, you can choose whether to build an obelisk or build it as a Tesseract Vault. And it does have, again, the Tesla spheres. It does have Catan powers as well, because, again, it has a Catan shard inside it. This is where you get the Transcendent Catan, the Catan part that comes out. An antimatter meteor, which is blast, devastating wounds, indirect fire. Cosmic fire, ignores cover, devastating wounds, and is a torrent. So basically, it's a flamethrower at 18 inches, by the way. It's a flamer at 18 inches. Doesn't have any ballista skill because it's auto hits. All flamers auto hits, if you don't know that. And it's a flamer auto hits at strength 6 minus 2 AP. And then times arrow, anti-character 4, devastating wounds, and can target, of course, characters, which makes, of course, the reasoning for the anti-character. It has the power of the Catan. In your shooting phase, when this model is selected to shoot, first select 1 Catan powers weapon, see the left. Till the end of the phase, this model is equipped with that weapon in addition to its other weapons. This model cannot make attacks with any other Catan power weapons. You did not select this phase. So basically, you get to choose one of these and then just go crazy with it. Do you want some meteor that are indirect, which is very interesting about indirect fire? You do not need line of sight to shoot an indirect weapon. You just need to make sure you're within 24 inches of the model. And suddenly meteorites can fall down at D3 plus 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 10, minus 3 AP, and 3 damage. Or you can throw a times arrow at them, 1 shot, ballistic skill 2 plus. Weapon skill, it's not really great at the weapon skill. Holy crap. Strength is 3, minus 2, 6 damage. I'd either choose the anti-meteor or the cosmic fire. Because again, cosmic fire also ignores cover, so no cover saves from that as well. And again, you can run people over with it. So again, if it's at 1 to 8 wounds, let's subtract 4 from its objective control, making it 4, and again, subtract 1 from all of its rolls. So that's really cool. So in addition to all of this other attacks, he just gets to throw a Catan psychic power for a turn as well. The monolith. Anyways, this thing has the Death Ray, sustained hits D3, Gauss Flare, Arc, lethal hits, rapid fire 3, and has a particle whip, blast, devastating wounds. And also, what its attack is, there's this doorway, and the doorway, the Portal of Exile, will suck a person in and make it disappear. Yes, a doorway, a object that has a melee attack of strength 8. So yes, a big walking fortress can hit people in melee. Oh my gosh, its attack 6, weapon skill 2 plus strength 8 minus 8 E2, D3 3 damage. Oh my gosh, that one make me run a monolith one time. Pick up a monolith, paint it up really quick, and then put it on a tabletop so I can run into someone's models and watch as they go to the path of exile. Anyways, it does have Deadly Demise D6. You can deep strike a monolith. Okay, can you deep strike the others? No. I forgot. This has Deadly Demise D3 plus 3, by the way. Tesseract bolts explode very bad. Because if you roll 6 plus 3, that's 9. That blows at 9 damage. Eternity Gate in the reinforcement step of your movement phase. You can select 1 Necron's infantry unit from your army that is either in reserves or on the battlefield. If you select the latter, remove the unit from the battlefield and place it in reserves. That unit is set up anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within 6 inches of this model and not within engagement range of any model. Then you cannot declare a charge this turn. But anyways, it's after the movement phase, so that's right before the shooting phase. So basically being able to move, say, some Necron models that aren't doing something on one side of your board over with the Tesseract Bolt, and then I don't know how he suddenly teleports models off the board, but okay. Nonetheless, really cool. Again, if he's sitting at 1 to 7, you remove 4 from his ejected control. He goes down to 4, and then -1 to the hit rolls. Finally, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Silent King. Apparently, he has... Oh, no, this is for 2 things. 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐎𝐾, which I believe is the Silent King, has his own profile, and then he has the Triarchal Hymner. Okay, neat. He's got Annihilator Beam. He's got the Spectre of Eternal Glory. It's got Devastating Wounds, Staff of Stars, Indirect Fire. He has normal close combat weapons and has the Scythe of Dust, lethal weapons. And he has Triarch abilities. Baryon of the Stars Aura. While a friendly Necron unit within 6 inches of this unit's 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴 model, each time a model in that unit makes a range attack, reroll hit roll 1 and reroll wound roll 1. All right, very nice. Baryon of Blades Aura. While a friendly Necron unit within 6 inches of this unit's 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴 model. Who the heck is the 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴? Is that the main guy? It has to be the main guy. For some reason, the main guy has 16 wounds. Who the hell are the Triarchal? The Triarchal must be the little 2 bodyguards next to him. They can attack, which made sense. They had the close combat weapons. Wouldn't they have the Staff of Stars? I don't know. While a friendly Necron unit within 6 inches of this model can reroll charge rolls. So basically, if you wanted to get some of your models into charging, bring it up to Unity. While a friendly Necron's unit is within 6 inches of that unit's 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴 model, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the characteristics of models in that unit and to any roll or test made for that model in the unit, excluding modifiers to saving throws. While a friendly Necron unit within 6 inches of this unit model, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the characteristics of models in that unit and to any roll or test made for the models in that unit. All right, so if you have like something's giving like a -1 to battle shock, he doesn't care because you won't care for it. The only thing excluding you can't modify saving throws. That's the one thing you just can't use that ability. So anyways, he blows up at D3. He got Demise. D6+3 does have reanimation protocols. I forgot to say, do these? Yes, they all have. Of course they do. ₂ Vol has reanimation. So does the Anobalus has it. All of these guys have it. The only thing I think that never had it is the Transcendent Catan. That's like the only thing that did not have reanimation protocols. Everything in this index had reanimation protocols. Voice of the Triarch. At the start of the battle round, select one Triarch ability. See left. And at the start of your next battle round, this unit has that ability. So basically, as long as people stand close enough to him, they just get one of these abilities. The Silent King. Once per turn, at the end of your command phase, you can select one friendly battle-shocked Necrons unit within 12 inches of this unit's 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴 model. That unit is no longer battle-shocked. So basically, he just tells them, stop being battle-shocked. Get back in the fight. So, while he has 1 to 6 wounds remaining, have the characteristics of his unit, basically in essence, just have the attack characteristics of the model's weapons, and each time a unit makes, so he just kind of really, the attack characteristic, wow. So basically, if you do this 1 indirect, you lose down to 6, and that goes to 1. All right, so he's very bad if he's at his lowest bracket. Tracked 1 from the hit roll here. But anyways, he's got a 4+ invulnerable save. Yeah, you have 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴, which is the epic hero, which is the Silent King himself. You have his true Triarch Mineers. 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴 is equipped with the Spectre of Eternal Glory, Staff of the Stars, and Scythe of Dust. And then every Triarch Myarch is equipped with Annihilator Beam, close combat weapons. Oh, I think those are the little things on the side. His little like thingy-me-bee bobbies right there. I think those are them. Because I think those are the things that have the Annihilator Beams. Okay. So, I think it's these things right here that's next to him. I have no idea what these Triarchal Minotaurs or whatever they are. If this unit is in your army, he must be your warlord. And Triarchal Minotaurs, if this unit's 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴 model is destroyed, all of this unit's remaining Triarchal Minotaur models are also destroyed. So basically everything goes with them. Goes boom. So, do you like infrastructure, kids? Here's some infrastructure. Convergence of Dominion. It's got a transdimensional abductor. That's it, folks. Reanimation nodes, or while your friendly Necron unit within 6 inches of this fortification, each time that unit's reanimation protocol activate, you can re-roll the dice roll to determine how many wounds reanimate. That's not too bad. Again, that's only on an aura of 6, and this thing doesn't move. So once it goes down the battlefield, it goes down forever. Ancient Cover. Each time a range attack is allocated to a model, if that unit is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this fortification, that model has the benefit of cover against the attack. All right. Fortification. While an enemy unit is only within engagement range of 1 or more in fortification of your army, That unit can still be like as a target for range attacks, but each time such an attack is made, unless it's made with a pistol, subtract 1 for the hit roll. Models in that unit do not need to take desperate escape tests due to falling back while battle shocked, except for those that will move over enemy models when doing so. All right, you can have 3 of these guys. They all have transdimensional abductor, and then when this unit is first set up, battlefield, its models do not have to be set up in unit coherency. Instead, each model must be placed wholly within 12 inches of one other model from its unit. From that point on, each model in this unit is treated as a separate unit. Congratulations. I suppose these can be put up anywhere on the battlefield. I don't see a rule against that, but yeah. So, my thoughts overall of the army I am, of course, working on myself. I love it. I love what they did with Necrons. I think Necrons just feel fresh. I love Reanimation Protocols. All the units feel really cool. The list building for 10th edition is so cool. So that means, you know, if the point costs are right, taking a bunch of monoliths is really fun now. Taking a bunch of the Tesseract Ball, maybe the obelisks. You know, reanimators are now really good. All these little things that give reanimations are really good. I really love 10th edition, and my hope is I can get some more models painted up, get my Necron army ready, and finally get out there and play some 10th edition. At least, you know, that's the hope. So, let me know down in the comments your thoughts on Necrons for 10th edition. I will say one thing. I really, really wish this was what Games Workshop did. You know, they could easily just do this paper, do these free indexes. If they need to FAQ them, update them, all that, it's easy to do. I mean, they're promising to do free points that they did throughout 9th edition. Late 9th edition, I guess I should say. But I mean, I know they like to sell the codexes because those sell, but I like free indexes. I think this is a great model that Games Workshop should just follow. A lot of people give away free rules to their models. Why can't we have this for Games Workshop? Again, let me know down in the comments your thoughts on the indexes. Should Games Workshop just get rid of codexes altogether and just stay with indexes? Because I think indexes overall are just better for gamers. They don't have to buy books. They don't have to carry around books or all of that, or buy books online through Games Workshop. They can just have free indexes that they can print out the papers that they need to go with their army. They don't need the fluff or any of that. They just want the papers. Games Workshop can easily update the papers. We don't have to go and print off a bunch of papers and shove them into our book for our FAQs and our rule changes and all of that. So, I mean, I just wish Games Workshop would do this. I think it would be just great for Games Workshop to just do indexes. Yes, let me know your thoughts on Necrons, indexes as a whole. Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? In my personal opinion, I think these are great, and I think this is the way we need to go for wargaming, especially in Games Workshop's way. I think codexes are just a little old now. An idea of lugging around a book when we can have free rules online. Games Workshop still makes some money out of the models. So, I mean, hooray. Free rules should be free anyways. But yeah, so let me know all that. Let me know if you actually looked over any of the other indexes, the Space Marines, any of the other Xenos races, any of that. Let me know your thoughts of those as well. And yeah, let me know all your thoughts about the coming of 10th edition. And with that as well, while commenting down there, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, and make sure to ring the bell so you get notified when my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time on Mama Dragon's Miniatures.